Welcome to the Travel Squad podcast, where adventure meets inspiration. We're your hosts. I'm Brittany.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Jamal. Together we explore international destinations, hike epic national parks, and share unforgettable travel experiences with you, one passport stamp at a time.
Our mission is to inspire you to travel by showing you how you can make it work no matter your budget, schedule, or experience level.
We bring you along so that you can laugh, get excited, and start planning your own trip.
So grab your ticket and your passport.
And don't forget your travel insurance.
And get ready to embark on a new adventure with us around the globe. Hello, fellow travelers.
Hey, squaddies.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Travel Squad podcast. Today we're continuing on our Thailand trip and we're taking you to the island of Phuket.
Yeah, last Friday we released our Just the Tip episode on Bangkok. And from Bangkok, we flew to Phuket. So Bangkok was just the start of our trip. We had that short amount of time. And here we are on the beautiful island of Phuket, known for its famous beaches, as well as those clear, crystal blue waters.
Kim, when you were in Thailand almost a decade ago, as you mentioned, really aging yourself on this podcast, did you go to Phuket? And how long did you spend in Phuket while you were there?
Oh, yes. I loved Phuket. We didn't stop in Bangkok. We just went straight to Phuket. So this was like even greater of an experience because it was the first thing in Thailand we did and we saw. And we did the elephant sanctuary like first thing the next morning. That was just amazing. I swam in the beaches here. The beaches were warm. We even had this lady come up to us on the beach trying to offer us beer for sale. And we were like, no, we're going to go in the water. We were in the water for like an hour, 2 hours. When we came out, she came right up and got us our beer. It was amazing. Nightlife was fun. I saw some crazy stuff here that I know you guys saw too. So let's get into it.
Well, I'm excited to talk about our time in Phuket because as it is known for its beautiful scenery, the wildlife, you mentioned the elephants, it's also known for all sorts of things in terms of entertainment, nightlife, etc. So just a little bit about Phuket for you guys. So it's located in southwestern Thailand. If anyone knows what a map of Thailand looks like, it has that very, very, very thin strip to the south of the country. It is here in this region, but again, southwest, and it is the largest island in Thailand. It is actually an island. And a couple really cool things about Phuket is to the west is the Andaman Sea, which is part of the Indian Ocean. And then to the east is the Gulf of Thailand, which is part of the Pacific. So if you go from one side of the island to the next, you are experiencing here the Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean. So you have that really unique aspect about it. Patong Beach is probably one of its most famous and popular beaches. It's a beautiful long crescent-shaped beach, golden sand, clear waters, and Bangla Road is right off of the beach, and Bangla is where all the nightlife occurs. And then there is a good storied history here in Phuket also. A famous spot to go to is Old Phuket. It has a rich history of Sino-Portuguese influence and architecture, colonial style shop houses, mansions, and this really came about from a time when they were doing tin mining out here when the Portuguese were here. So you have all sorts of cultural influence in this region with that wildlife, nightlife, as well as scenic beauty. So Phuket really is a gem.
And we're also going to give you some tips for visiting Phuket, very similar to the ones that we gave for Bangkok. So bear with us if you listened to Bangkok already. Make sure you're downloading Grab, the Lyft and Uber of Thailand. Traffic is really bad, especially as you get close to Patong, Bangla Road. You're going to wait 2 to 3 times the amount it says to get from one place to the other. And quite often, they canceled our ride and we would have to wait to get hooked up with another driver. There are also tuk-tuks, so you could take a tuk-tuk, but in our case, we were going back to our hotel a lot of the times, which was a bit farther. And it'd just be safer to take a Grab. So just make sure to take all of that into consideration if you have a time constraint. Also, if you stay outside of the Patong Beach area and at more secluded resorts, it's going to be harder to catch Grabs to and from because they're out of the way. Our hotel did have a shuttle that would take us from our hotel down to Patong Beach, which was really helpful, and getting back wasn't as bad. So we were able to catch a Grab every once in a while. But if you're doing it really late at night, if you're partying real hard like Kim does on Bangla Road and not going to get home till 3, 4 a.m., it may be a little bit harder to catch that ride.
3, 4 a.m. is early for Kim. She'd have no problem getting a ride because it'd be like 8 in the morning. That's when people are going to work, So, but depending on your party style, may or may not be easy to catch those grabs, right? But that is good information to know. Also, again, cash-based society, so be sure to pull cash from an ATM. That way you do have it. A lot of the bars here do accept credit card, but they have high minimums, okay? So credit card is widely accepted at a lot of places, but just do keep that in mind, high minimums. So that's why we say just opt for that cash. Just a good general rule of thumb for all of Thailand, have it with you. And more importantly, another reason why to have cash is you want to make change because a lot, if not all of the public restrooms here do require you to pay to use it. Even in the bars, if you are frequenting them, a lot of them are pay to use. So you're going to need about 10 to 15 baht every time you go to the bathroom. And if you're drinking, that's going to be frequently.
I do have one tip I'd like to share with you squatties. What you can do, since it is a cash-based culture, is only take a certain amount of money out with you, and then when you run out, you're forced to go home. I did that when I was in Phuket, and it prevented something that could have been.
Kim could have blown a lot of money, is what she's saying. She had a budget for the night. Because when you say go home, you meant back to the hotel room. You don't mean I took out my money and I'm flying back home to America. Am I correct, Kim?
And you always say like you're going to go back to the hotel and get more money and go out, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah, by the time you get back to the hotel, you're not ready to go back out, especially if you're staying a little bit further from that, right? We mentioned this when we were talking about Bangkok. A lot of the places here, being that lots of tourists from all over the world come, they do have pretty much universal outlets in the hotels, but it's still very wise to bring your Thailand-specific outlet just in case you stay at a place that doesn't have it. And then the weather, the wet season is May through October. Cool season is November through February. Even though we say cool season, don't think it's cold. It's just cooler, okay? Still very hot and humid. And then hot season is going to be March through May. So plan your time accordingly.
Squatties, before we get into this episode, I do want to remind you that we have a secret hack that is guaranteed to get you upgraded for free on an airline. And if it's not an upgrade, because sometimes that does happen, sometimes they're too full to put you into a higher class, you will get special treatment from the airline staff. We will share that hack with you. All you have to do is leave us a 5-star written review, ideally on Apple Podcasts, or if you have Spotify, that works too. Send us a screenshot of it, either travelsquadpodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram at Travel Squad Podcast. Send us that screenshot and we will send you that hack.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
BTW FYI. Visit Nexplanon.com RN to learn about Nexplanon. It's an gestural implant, 68 milligrams radio pain. Or ask your HCP IRL. Okay, TTYL.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
So when we landed in Phuket, it was actually day 4 of our trip because we had gone from Bangkok to Phuket. We got in pretty late. We landed about 9 p.m., but it takes about an hour to an hour and a half to get from the airport into the Patong area. So just keep that in mind. So we didn't get to our hotel until about closer to 11 p.m. I also want to point out that if you do fly a budget airline in Thailand domestically, they usually have lower weight allotments for your luggage. So, going internationally, you have a 50-pound weight limit. Going domestically within Thailand, a lot of the times it's a 33-pound weight limit versus the 50-pound. So they will charge you per kilogram that you go over. We had actually already paid for a larger luggage allotment, so we were fine here, but they got us on the way to our next destination in Thailand, and we did have to pay a hefty fee.
So from the airport, you have multiple options. You could take a taxi, you can take a Grab to the central area. Now, when Brittany says to Patong, we were staying in that region, which is going to be south of the airport, again, approximately hour and a half, depending on traffic, to the west. There is another side of Phuket that is very popular. There's tourists, hotels on the eastern side along the Pacific just as well. So anywhere that you're going on Phuket is pretty much going to be south and an hour and a half away. Grab or taxi, approximately, if you Google this, and even when we were there, we put it in our Grab app to really see, is going to be about $20-25. That's not a terrible price for an hour plus ride. So that's pretty much what you're looking at. But we were staying at the Phuket Marriott Resort and Spa, Merlin Beach, and a couple days before arrival, they sent me an email from the concierge and said, would you like to be picked up in a black vehicle? Very luxurious.
Black vehicle.
Yeah. Well, they called it limo service, right? You could pay for a Mercedes-Benz E-Class, or you can pay for Toyota Camry. The Toyota Camry doesn't seem like a lot, but it was their high-end Toyota Camry with all leather interior, the highest model you can get. Okay. You know, they're really selling it up. Depending on which one you choose, of course, there's going to be a different price. So we were like, all right, well, they're only charging a little bit more than what it would be to take a taxi or a Grab. Let's just do it with the hotel. They're going to put it on our bill. It's going to be charged to our credit card anyway. We're going to get the points for it. So that's what we ended up doing, is getting picked up kind of luxurious style to our hotel.
Let me tell you, when you walk out of an airport and you see your name on the board that they're holding, you just feel just first class.
Feel VIP, you know? I wanted to feel VIP on this trip.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So he picks us up, puts our bags in his car. We get into the all-leather interior car, and we take a little nap as we approach the Marriott.
It was so hard to stay awake in that car. So that hour and a half drive went by pretty quick because we both did fall asleep in the back seat. But when we arrived at the Marriott, we were ready to rally.
So we check in, and because we are Marriott Bonvoy members, we got to spin a wheel that you could earn like extra points on, or breakfast or some other things, and we won complimentary breakfast at the breakfast buffet for our stay.
For the entire stay that we were there. Wow. Yeah, I was really excited. And then the person who was checking us in says, all day no one has gotten this. They've only gotten 200, 300 extra Marriott points, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you're the first person to get the breakfast all day. And I was honestly debating adding on the breakfast beforehand because I heard it was actually pretty good here. But good thing I didn't, because we got it for free, and we'll get to it the next day when we wake up. But let me just say, delicious, really good, and I'm glad that we got it.
And this Marriott resort has its own private beach, multiple swimming pools, a swim-up bar, and games. So Kim, I think you would really like this resort if you were to come back to Phuket.
Swim up bar. I mean, I like it already.
They had a swim up bar. The games Brittany's talking about is like the human-sized chessboard that you can actually go ahead and play. They had basketball shooting like you would find in an arcade, all sorts of stuff. One of the things that I thought was really cool, again, private beach, okay, but then they have all sorts of different pools. And then they had a pathway that connected two pools on opposing sides. And then they had like elephant statues, because you know elephants in Thailand, that are just spraying water from their trunks on you as you come through, and it's this beautiful design. I loved it here. So I'm really glad that we actually stayed, and it really enhanced the feeling and vibe that we got here while we were in Phuket in terms of just beach vacation.
So by the time we bring all of our stuff to the room and everything, it's probably edging on 11:30-ish. But, you know, we got our second wind, and we're like, let's go to Patong.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, you should be impressed. We caught a Grab to Patong. We walked Bangla Road. The road comes like right up to the beach. You can walk the whole thing. And when the sun sets, the street comes alive with neon lights, loud music, whole bunch of bars, people dancing on the bars, great people watching. Workers come out. It's just a fun vibe out there.
Now, what do you mean by workers, Brittany? Just go ahead and say it. We all know. The ladies of the night. I'm going to say it for Brittany because Brittany's afraid to say it. Ladies of the night. That's what you can expect here. But again, if you listened to the Bangkok, just the tip episode, don't be intimidated by the fact that this is here. This is not all that's there. Yes, it's a big part of it, but you can see all sorts of stuff. Just go for a casual drink at any one of these bars. Enjoy your time. Lots of these bars don't even have working girls. They have live DJ music, sing-alongs with bands, etc. So you're going to have a really great time here. And off of Bangla Road, there's a road that's perpendicular to it that at night they have a little food market too. So you could get some good food out there just as well.
And you might think party, everyone's going to be in their 20s, early 30s. No, we saw people of all ages. Yes, there was the people that were partying in their 20s and 30s, but we saw people in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Everyone was out walking the street having a good time.
And those people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, some of them were partying and some of them were just casually vibing, right? So you're going to find pretty much all sorts of everything going on out here in terms of age variety. Are they partaking in the shenanigans? Are they just people watching, observing, enjoying themselves? So again, really fun, lively atmosphere to go, but just do expect that. You're going to come here. It's just going to be a lively, loud atmosphere.
And during the night, you cannot drive down this road. It's walking only. So the whole street is wide open. So Jamal and I just went and got our bearings. We walked down the street, kind of took in all the sights, and then we picked a bar to just go to and sat down at and get a drink. Very good for people watching. So there was 3 guys that came and sat at the bar that we were at, and they looked like they were barely 18. And one of the workers from the street comes up to their table, and they looked interested, and I think they were asking if maybe she was 100% woman or not. And she took one of their hands and put it right up her dress so they could get a feel.
We still don't know if it's a yes or no. I mean, there was a touch test, but we don't know the answer to that. But nevertheless, good for people watching for sure. And then, of course, eventually that person ended up going off with so selected lady. To be determined. We are unsure, but you're going to find all sorts of excitement and things to do and see when you're here on Bangla. And even if this is not your cup of tea, if you're in Phuket and you're just here, I'm here for the beaches. I'm here for Old Town Phuket. That's more laid back, classical. This is still a spot that you should absolutely 100% come to just see it, even if it's for a quick little bit, because this is probably the most iconic and famous thing about Phuket is Patong Beach and Bangla Road right here.
So by the time we went back to the hotel, it was about 3 a.m. Are you proud of us, Kim?
Yeah, you guys really did get your second wind.
We rallied hard. Why not? Win in Thailand, right?
So the next morning we woke up and we went down to take advantage of the free breakfast buffet that we won when we checked in. They had unlimited Thai iced tea, fresh juices. They had a noodle bar where you could pick what type of noodles and the toppings and your meats. They had an egg and omelet station. They had an English breakfast station. They had meats and cheeses. They had curry and noodles. They had a whole station for fresh fruit. They had a whole area dedicated to pastries.
Wow.
And they even had a chocolate fountain.
Oh my God.
Chocolate fondue fountain. And Brittany forgot to mention, probably some of the best French toast we've ever had at a breakfast spot.
Whoa, better than Snooze's OMG French toast?
Well, I'm not talking about sit down and order, but I'm talking in terms of like at a hotel, kind of made to order in a buffet style like this. Like it was truly exceptional. So this was a good spot. And what I really liked about it is, again, you heard Brittany, there was just a wide variety of everything because, of course, you are in an Asian country, so you have noodle bar and all sorts of other stuff. There's a very large Indian population in Thailand just as well. And, of course, lots of Indian visitors. So you find a lot of Indian food.
A lot of UK people. Did you guys notice that too?
UK, Australia,
Yeah.
China, everybody is coming to Thailand. So if you didn't catch on from Brittany's mentioning everything that was there, you're going to find something for your cuisine palette. if you are really specific or if you want a wide variety. And everything that we had was really, really good. So, of course, we took advantage of the free breakfast. Love it. And then we were like, okay, well, our resort has a private beach. Why would we go with the plebes to the public? Let's just be on our own private beach at our resort right here. So after breakfast, we went back to our room, just got ourselves situated, and we enjoyed ourselves at the beach. Brittany brought her book. I picked us up some beers from the bar. We're sitting, relaxing, laying out on the loungers, getting in and out of the water, really enjoying ourselves and soaking in the resort life as well as the beach life.
Yeah, so we spent a little bit on the beach, got in the water. They actually do have some snorkeling in the area, but they weren't doing it at that time. So we missed that. Then we decided, let's go hit up the resort pool. So we went and relaxed by the pool. We ended up getting in and swimming up to the swim up bar, grabbing a drink from there. Yes. So had a great time in that pool. That pool was adults only, so no children. There was a children only pool on the other side. So that was fantastic for us. And then we decided to get ready for the day. We took a free shuttle from our resort into Patong Beach. And I decided I wanted a massage. So I got my first full body Thai massage with deep tissue for only 500 baht. Jamal decided he didn't want a massage. He wanted to go get drinks, so he went to the bar while I did that.
Interesting choice, Jamal.
You know, it was one of those things that was like really hot. Of course, I was expecting it to be hot, but I just thought to myself, okay, we're going from our hotel to Patong. We got to walk along the road. I'm getting sweaty. Go in. Do I really want somebody massaging me while I'm feeling all sweaty and gross? Just the thought of that kind of was like, no, like I don't really want a massage. I'm going to get a massage later in Thailand, but today and in this moment was not my time. So I was like, get your massage. And Brittany wanted to do an hour and a half long massage. I don't even really like massages that much. I'm like, I'm not sitting there for an hour and a half. What? You know what I mean? Like,
hour-long massage.
Okay, that's still too long for me. 30 minutes, like
What?
tops. Because even when I did my hour-long massage later, it's just too long. But
No.
Anyway, nevertheless, I was like, you go do that. I'm going to go out to the bars. The bars, by the way, during daytime, completely different than what it looks like at night. Mm-hmm. There's people in there, but it's not as lively. It's dead. Girls are not working during that point in time. Or if they are, they're hidden. It's not like en masse. So I was like, I'm going to go to a bar. And you mentioned earlier, Kim, like, oh, you feel like there's a lot of people from the UK. I made friends with a gentleman on holiday from the UK, and we were just sitting, talking, having drinks with each other. And that's something that I really enjoy when we travel too, is like if you're finding somebody, and not that I was alone, because of course I'm traveling with Brittany, but in that moment I was alone, you just strike up conversation, you meet people, and I had a really good time just enjoying myself that way. So that was my game plan while Brittany was getting a massage.
Yeah, my massage was great. It was an hour long. It was in an air-conditioned room. When you walk in, they wash your feet. They put you in slippers. They had a locker for me to store my items. And they walked me upstairs to a room. They give you a little outfit to change into. It's just like a thin linen outfit.
Wow.
And then she performed the massage. It was deep tissue, then with some Thai stretches in it. So it was really nice. I enjoyed it. And then after that, I texted Jamal that I was done. We went down the street on Bangla Road. And they had a little market off the side of the street that was like a food market. So we got some of the best street pad Thai. I think we got the entire trip, as well as some curry. And this evening, I had wanted to go see a show, the Simon Cabaret show. Have you heard of it, Kim?
It does sound a little familiar.
It is a world famous ladyboy show. So we got tickets to that. Jamal wasn't super intrigued. I had heard about it from our cat sitter, actually. She had gone to Thailand, I think 2 years ago. She had gone to the show, really enjoyed it, recommended it. So I booked it. And I mean, it was like $25 a person. World famous drag ladyboy show. They're in these extravagant costumes, lots of singing, dancing, little comedy. And we saw children there, people with their families. So it's a family friendly event. Nice venue.
I was going to say that, quite honestly, Brittany described what it is, and it is a and I'm doing air quotes, you can't see me, like burlesque show, but it is very tame that you can have fun with your family there. Like she said, there were kids. You saw people of all ages, different family types that are there. And it's so popular that they do 2 shows a night. We went to the first show of the evening, and then when we were done, people are already queuing up for the second show. So this is something that's actually like really, really popular in Phuket, is going here. When we picked up our Grab after we had gotten our pad thai to get over here, we just put in the name of the theater, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to Simon Cabaret." Like, everybody knows this show, so it's really, really popular.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then we ended up just taking a tuk-tuk from the show back to Bangla Road. The tuk-tuks are so much fun. Like, some of them, you can connect to their Wi-Fi and play your own music. Some of them have a whole bunch of lights. So they have their own vibe. And the one that we got into had all of that. So we were picking our own songs and just having a good time as we went back to Bangla Road.
One thing I remember hearing as a tip before I went all those years ago was to negotiate the price with the tuk-tuk before you get in. Did you do that?
Absolutely. I didn't get in a tuk-tuk before I even asked them what the price was. And Brittany mentioned this in our previous episode talking about Bangkok, how tuk-tuks are a lot more expensive than actually catching a Grab. So the tuk-tuks are immediately available. You're going to find them everywhere. But sometimes they'll charge double, triple, I feel like, what it would be for Grab. So if you want the quick convenience of it, it's right there. But yeah, I would ask them 100% beforehand, how much is the price? I would not step foot in one until I confirmed what it was. So that is a really good tip. I think it just goes a long way anywhere you are with transportation. If you don't know what is up front, ask before you get in.
Squatties, if you like what you're hearing, I have good news for you. We have a Phuket itinerary. We have an itinerary on the whole trip to Thailand as well, which is going to be much bigger than Phuket. You can download both of those at shoptravelsquad.com. We also have them linked in the show notes for you.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Take your plans out of the group chat and get long weekend ready in new Abercrombie. From day to night, pack new outfits for every part of your itinerary. Grabbing brunch? Throw on the A&F Mila dress. Then head to your dinner reservation in their new bubble hem mini dress. And yes, permission to overpack for pics with the girls. Abercrombie's best-selling Scarlet Squirt deserves a post in your feed. Your plans are worth it. Shop Abercrombie's new long weekend collection online or in store.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
So after the show, we just went to a food market. It was called the Bonzon Fresh Market. We got some more mango sticky rice, coconut pancakes. We walked back down Bangla Road. We people watched, grabbed a drink, and then we took a Grab back to our hotel for the night.
I just want to say there's all sorts of stuff that you could do off of Bangla Road and in this region. Of course, like right off of Patong Beach, it's not just Bangla Road. There's so many different side roads offering different types of shops, tourist things, restaurants, etc. But across the way from this Bonzon market, they were doing like a Muay Thai fight that night. They have arenas for the fightings. That's a big event too. So there's all sorts of things to really do other than just people watch. This just happened to be what we were doing because Brittany and I love to people watch. We love to eat food, especially when we travel, but all sorts of things to do in this region.
So our final day in Phuket, our final full day, we decided to book a luxury sunset cruise that also went to James Bond Island. And it was an amazing day. They picked us up at about 10:30, so we had plenty of time to eat again at the breakfast buffet. then get ready. We had about an hour to an hour and a half van ride. Nice air-conditioned van. We got to the boat dock around noon. And then we just got the presentation about what to expect on the boat. So the boat can fit about 150 people at capacity. We only had 90 people. And the luxury yacht doesn't allow any shoes on board. So it's very clean. They have lounge chairs for you to lay out on. They have bean bags for you to lay out on. They have cabanas up top that you can pay for and reserve. They have a full stocked bar. That wasn't included, but it's available. And it also included both lunch, dinner, and a few island stops.
Let me tell you something. The food that they offered on this yacht cruise was exceptional. Like, actually really, really delicious. So we did enjoy that.
What was it?
They had all sorts of stuff. They had Thai food. They ended up bringing out papaya salad, all sorts of curries, fried chicken wings, sushi.
They had soup, chicken dishes. They had all sorts of things. It was like a whole buffet spread. And when you got on board, you got a welcome drink as well.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, so it was really, really enjoyable. Now, Brittany mentioned this cruise went to James Bond Island. So we'll get to that in just a second. But this took us on the eastern side, which is technically the Pacific side. And there's lots of islands here in the Gulf of Thailand to go to that are very famous, scenic, and beautiful. So this cruise sailed to a lot of those. One of the more famous places that you could go in the Gulf of Thailand, island-wise, is Phi Phi Islands. Our cruise did not include that, but it's one of the most beautiful, and again, using Phuket as a base, one of the easiest places to be to get to there, since it is an island and in the Gulf of Thailand right there. But we had several stops, the final one being James Bond Island, and it's called James Bond Island because they filmed a scene from the 1974 James Bond movie, The Man with the Golden Gun there. And you would think, okay, they just filmed a movie there, who cares, right? But this island that we went to, the last one, James Bond Island, it has an iconic limestone karst or sea stack that rises out of the bay from the beach right there. So it just has this one iconic spot. The island itself is like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to deny that. But all the stops that we made along the way were what made it enjoyable. The other islands that you see while you're sailing. And let's talk a little bit about that, Britt.
So the first stop of the cruise was about 30 minutes into sailing. We were swimming in the Pon Na Bay, really beautiful bay that's turquoise waters, whole bunch of sea stacks. Stopped here to swim. The boat had a water slide, so you can get directly on the slide and just slide right into the water. Super fun, really beautiful, amazing yacht. Once we got out of the water after swimming for a bit, they started the buffet lunch. And if you're just a couple, you are going to be sitting at a table with other people. So each table can fit 4 to 6 people. And we were sitting with another couple. They were originally from Scotland, but they now live in Sydney, Australia. So we got to know them. They get quite a bit of holiday time, which is amazing. I love when we vacation, talking to other people from other countries and to hear about like all of the vacation or holiday time that they get and just the customs of the country that they live in. So
how much did they get?
Gosh, I want to say they got 5 weeks a year. That doesn't include any sick time or anything like that. So
nice.
And she was a nurse as well. It was just interesting to hear how things worked and how it was very easy for her to get her nursing degree transferred from Scotland to Australia. And I thought, what if I did that? Well, I don't know, but you know, pipeline dreams, I guess.
Go for it.
Yeah. So then we had lunch. Jamal mentioned earlier all of the different types of food. We had like the coconut milk soup, the sushi, the noodle dishes, vegetable dishes, all of that. Had a great lunch, continued our cruise, and then we made it to an island called Hong Island. Hong Island is known for its hidden lagoons. The word Hong in Thai means room, and so that refers to like the sea caves and enclosed lagoons that you can only get to by kayak or really small boat. So from the yacht, you actually get into a 2-person kayak, and I thought we're going to have to kayak ourselves. No. You have a guide. You just sit back and relax, and this guide will paddle you through, kayak you through the cave entrances, and you go through and you see all of these sea caves, and you're in this lagoon, and you're surrounded by all of these amazing sea stacks towering above you and this lush greenery. And they make it just a really great experience. Like, he had this little leaf that had a cutout heart in it, and he took our picture, and it was just a really good time.
Yeah, and so when we read the description of this tour, it said that you will have your kayak, you'll be able to kayak to the caves. And like Brittany said and thought, I thought the same thing. Oh, yeah, we're going to be kayaking. So when she said, oh, no, we have a guide, our tour boat did not have a guide for us. And by that, I mean they specifically. These islands that we're sailing in, a lot of them are part of a national park. So to protect it, they don't allow anybody to just go in. And by anybody, I'm talking tourists. So there is a boat that's hanging by this little island and area where we went that is basically national park approved workers that are your kayak guides. So they sail you in there, you see the caves, you get to go all around. So it was a very cool and unique experience that I really, really did enjoy. And then after we were at Hong Island, we went on to James Bond Island again.
But you forgot the refreshments again when you get on board.
They gave refreshments. You say it like you're selling it up, but when I hear refreshment coming back on board, I think alcohol. It was a very good, delicious juice drink, but they are non-alcoholic. And I said to myself, if you put just a little bit of alcohol in here, this would be prime time. But yes, Brittany, thank you for reminding me. They actually did have delicious refreshments when you got back on board.
Like, every time you got on board, you got a different little drink. So it was just nice.
Did you buy anything from the bar here?
Well, I definitely was buying from the bar. Don't get me wrong. I was buying from the bar. I'm enjoying myself. I'm sailing these beautiful waters. It's an all-day event. Somebody's driving for me when we get back. Yeah, I'm getting beverages from the bar. Absolutely.
But like Jamal was saying, we then went to James Bond Island. To get to James Bond Island, we couldn't take our yacht up to it. So you actually have to get onto a smaller boat that will take you to the island. The boat held, how many people do you think? 20?
I would say so. It's a long, narrow boat, and you could only sit 2 by 2.
And you do have to be pretty like flexible to get onto this boat and like capable, because you have to walk on the edge of the boat and then drop down into a seat, and you get out the same way. So if you have some disabilities, you may not be able to partake in this portion of it.
Yeah, disabilities or mobility issues. This may be a little bit difficult situation. But like I said, I mean, they really sell up James Bond Island because the movie was here. Okay, big deal. Again, the famous limestone karst sea stack that's here is very beautiful. I'm not going to deny it. It is a picturesque, iconic image of what you would imagine when you think beaches within Thailand. But otherwise, I was talking to some people on the boat too. They're like, yeah, this is fun because it's a whole experience on the boat. We got to do the kayaking, just the swimming in the bay. But they talk about Phi Phi Islands being, of course, a lot better to go enjoy the beach aspect of things. But as a whole day event, I really did enjoy this. But I will say this, because I really believe that James Bond Island is whatever. But the experience as a whole, prime time.
The view of the sea stack is amazing. It's one of the most photographed landscapes in Thailand.
I see it. It's like floating there like a little Stonehenge.
Yes, just like that. And there are a whole bunch of souvenir stands that you can go to on the island. You can hike around the island to different viewpoints. We did have to go around the side to get back to the boat to get then back onto the yacht. And then when we got back onto the yacht, of course, they gave us refreshments. This one did include alcohol in it. And then we had dinner, and they turn it up on the boat for sunset with a dance party.
Oh, that's why they wanted to liquor you up.
The boat actually had a live DJ the whole time that we were cruising, day and night on the way back. So by the time we were on our way back after dinner, the DJ was really turning it up. They dimmed down the lights. It almost felt like it was a nightclub in there, quite honestly. And let me tell you this, very few people were dancing at first. Then some people started dancing, and then more. And then you watch all these 60, even 70-year-olds. They were really throwing it down on the dance floor on this yacht. living life. And I said to
Jamal?
myself, yeah, no, I didn't dance. I know you're going to ask it, Kim. I didn't dance, but I told this to Brittany when I was watching those 70-year-olds dance and living their best life. I said, I need to get some dance lessons so that this can be us later.
You got it in Spain.
In Argentina.
In Argentina. So I know you can move.
I can. It's just difficult to put those movements into nice rhythm, but yeah.
Yeah, so we had a cruise back from James Bond Island with dinner, the sunset. We watched sunset on the front of the boat, just on a beanbag, actually. It was really nice. We were just relaxing. We got back to the dock at about 7 p.m. And then once we got into the van, we got back to our hotel at about 8:30. And that boat day was just the perfect way to end our time in Phuket. It was just so relaxing. Got to see more of the water, the beaches, the islands, swim, get a little tan. And it was a great final day.
It sounds amazing. I wish I was on that boat with you.
I think you would have loved it, Kim.
I think you would have too. And like I said, I really enjoyed the places where they took us. Again, I didn't say I didn't like James Bond Island. I just think as a whole, it's overrated. But where they took us, all 3 spots were really, really nice. But it was the experience of being on the boat, sailing the waters, seeing the other islands that you're not even stopping at, and just really enjoying the waters and the view, the experience with the food, buying yourself a drink, just living your best life out on the waters in Thailand.
Amazing. Well, we do have a couple questions of the week. So squatties are curious. We have 2 questions. First one is, was Phuket worth visiting? This person said they'd been to Bangkok in northern Thailand, but wanted to know, is Phuket worth it?
So I told them that if they love the beaches and they love nightlife, Phuket is the place for them. Bangkok has very much the same temperature, but northern Thailand is a little bit cooler and has a more relaxed vibe. So Phuket is more like Bangkok in terms of the nightlife. So I kind of went on that route, and that if I were to go back to an island, I think I would probably go somewhere a little bit more secluded, nature oriented, and not as party heavy. But that was my take on it.
I think it's definitely worth visiting. When we were planning this trip, it was either going to be Phuket or Krabi, which are 2 very popular beach locations. And ultimately, we decided on Phuket because Phuket's just Phuket, right? So if you're going to Thailand for the first time, absolutely. And we did a lot of the same thing. I'm going to be completely honest. We were in Patong, Bangla. Yes, we had the full day out on the water, which was really cool, and spent a lot of time at our resort because it had its own beach. But there's Old Town Phuket, which we didn't get to go to. There's the whole eastern side of the island that we didn't get to go to just as well. The elephant sanctuary that you went to, Kim, there's national parks on the island of Phuket where you can go see the elephants, do all sorts of things. So there is a lot of stuff. And then there are several beaches that are a lot more laid back and calm other than Patong. Those are going to be Kata, Coron, and Kamala Beach. So they're really, really nice beaches. We didn't go to them, but they were on our list of things to do. But it is away from all the chaos, right? So you can find a little bit of that seclusion still on Phuket and a lot of other stuff. But maybe if you go back to Thailand again, you'll want to try something else. But I would absolutely say, for sure, go to Phuket.
I would definitely go back to Phuket. I think I was there 2 or 3 days, and I would 100% go back.
Yeah, and we were there too. And like I said, we didn't scratch a lot of what there is to do, and there is plenty.
Second and last question. Is the heat and humidity tolerable?
Ooh, it is hot. But if you're in the water and you get in the water, that makes it a lot more tolerable. That's how I felt, at least. And everyone's hot, and all of the restaurants, if you go into an establishment, most of the time they do have AC. So that is helpful. But just know that while you're there, you're going to get it with some heat and humidity.
Yeah, heat and humidity is never fun. It's never enjoyable. But Brittany said it best. Everybody is experiencing that. So everybody's hot and sweaty with you. Just embrace it. I mean, I looked at Brittany so many times and said this weather sucks, but I was having such a good time. It is what it is. You just got to deal with it. But, would I say you're going to die out there? Absolutely not. Unless maybe you went a couple months later after us when it gets exceptionally hotter, which I wouldn't recommend going then. But if you go during the prime time of when they say to go, November to February, I think you'll be in good shape.
I would just say wear the right clothing. You don't want to get stuck with swamp ass. So
I was just thinking about planning your outfits
Yes.
around getting swamp bass.
You know, this reminds me of when you said that, Kim. This reminds me of our episode when we were talking about Everglades and you were planning what you were going to wear on the swamp boat, airboat, whatever. And you had an outfit in mind and then you had to cancel that because you're like, ooh, this is going to give me some major swamp ass. So, you know, you got to plan accordingly.
I definitely remember people in our group, just like the men in particular, the shirt being very obviously a little sweat drenched. So just keep that in mind with your dressing. Less is more. And you're probably not going to be like doing your hair really nice because you're going to go in the ocean. It's going to get humidity and all that. The one thing I want to throw in here at the end, you didn't mention it, but when I was in Phuket, my trip to Thailand was end of October, beginning of November. I was eaten alive by mosquitoes. The mosquito repellent that we had at that time did not work, actually, and we didn't reapply it enough. We will link the best mosquito repellent ever in the show notes. We've used it all over since. I'm surprised you guys didn't mention this because I was tore up.
We did not get eaten by mosquitoes until we went to northern Chiang Mai and in the jungle. So we actually escaped the mosquitoes in Bangkok and Phuket.
Yeah, we got some bites, but they weren't really bad. And then when Brittany says we went to northern Thailand and Chiang Mai and got bit, we just got bit more. I think it's one of those things where they're always there, but it's seasonal. I remember when we were in Africa and our tour guide was telling us like, you know, they're always here, but there's certain seasons where they're worse, and you may have just been there in the worst time. So the fact that we got so few and far and in between, I guess it didn't really come to our mind to mention it, but you bring up a very good point, Kim. Yeah, I mean, just always wear insect repellent because you're going to need it, because we got like one or two, and one of them one time was like a really bad itch for a couple days, but tolerable. If I had multiple of them, maybe it wouldn't have been so tolerable.
Well, 1 week from today, we will be airing that Chiang Mai episode. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, Squatty, so much for tuning into our episode this week. Make sure to keep the adventures going with us on all the socials at Travel Squad Podcast and send us in your questions of the week.
If you found the information in this episode to be useful, or if you thought we were just plain funny, please be sure to share it with a friend that would enjoy it too. And as always, please subscribe, rate and review our podcast, and tune in every Travel Tuesday for new episodes.
And Squatty, sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date on everything that's happening with the podcast, hear about our latest tips, advice, and amazing adventures we have in store for you.
Bye, Squatties.